Hello everybody, and welcome to another tutorial here with FlightFactor. Today we're going to be taking a look at the FlightFactor 777-300ERv2 for X-Plane 12. In this tutorial we're going to get this aircraft started up from cold and dark pretty much, and let's see what we can do to get this started up as quickly as possible. As usual with all my tutorials, this is not an exhaustive guide or a complete detailed review of the aircraft and all of its systems. This is just meant as a flight simmer's guide to get you started with flying this aircraft as quickly as possible. It is a beginner's guide, and by no means is it a complete exhaustive look at the aircraft. Alright, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the aircraft and get started up. Alright, first thing that I would like to point out is that this aircraft does come with a rather advanced EFB. It can be fairly complicated at first, but once you kind of familiarize yourself with its layout, it's not too bad to use. All right, got your performance options right here where you've got a calculator if you want to use this, but for today I'm going to get my performance from SimBrief rather than using this right here. You can control some of your Navigraph and ACAR CPDLC services if you have that set up. I already have my SimBrief username here, and we will import our flight plan from SimBrief shortly. Okay, now under airplane, you've got your doors, ground services, weight and balance, maintenance, pushback, cabin controls, etc, etc, etc. Got lots of stuff available here today. Now before we come into the EFB and establish contact with the ground services, etc., let's go ahead and energize our aircraft. Right, so the first thing you want to do is go overhead, turn on your battery, turn on primary external power and secondary external power. Now the best thing to do after you've done that is to wait for all the screens to boot up correctly. Until this is done, it's recommended that you do nothing else. So let's wait for our screens to come to life. There we go, screens are coming to life. Flashing is part of the process. Okay, once our screens have booted up and everything here seems to have come to life, we can now go ahead and get our pressure here to go up. There is a brake source and we can tell that our pressure is a little under, right? So one thing you want to do is go up here, turn this one right here to automatic, pressure climbing here. Once we have a sufficient level of pressure, it should close off somewhere there. There we go. Go up here and turn this. Now we've got our pressure. In addition to that, we've also got the cabin interphone available to us. All right, it seems like we are now ready to establish contact with the ground crew. So let's go ahead and do that. To do that, we come to the CDU right here, the center one. We press cabin interphone and we establish contact. Before we do that, I would like to point out that under simulation, crew interaction and voice, you need to have this on right here. Crew voice communication needs to be on right there. Without it, sometimes this is not going to work for you. All right, it didn't work for me without me selecting that option. Just something to remember. At the bottom right corner, we can see that our co-pilot is available to us. We also need our cabin crew and ground crew to be available to us, and they need to appear on the bottom right corner, which means we've established contact with them. So let's go ahead and do that. To contact the cabin crew, we press the cabin option right here. Make sure our mic is selected to that cabin option. Go to cabin interphone, go to purser. You can just end that call. You can see that we've got cabin crew available to us, which is great. Let's do the same with the ground. So to contact the ground crew, we need the flight option to be on here on our communication. So we need to select the flight, and you can see that the ground crew is now available. Ground crew takes a while. Ground crew is now available to us. We've got that icon on the bottom right as well. This means we're in contact with all three right now, which is what we need to operate our external services and to carry out the loading. Great, we're done with. Before we do anything further, let's go ahead, turn on our ADARU. You can turn on the cabin utilities and in-flight entertainment. Voice recorder can go to on. Nav can go on. Passenger signs can go on. Emergency lights. Those two can go to the armed position. All of that is done. Let's go ahead and get some air conditioning set up so we can board our passengers, right? So let's go ahead and do that first. We will go. There's two ways now that we've established contact with the ground crew and the flight and the cabin crew. There are two ways we can request various things from these two crews. Either you can go to ground service right here and press from here. This will only work once you have established contact, point to note. You can press using the EFB or you can use the CDU, whichever you like. So for the first air conditioning unit, for the left one, we'll use the EFB. For the yellow means that it is on the way or it's under process. Okay, the green means it's connected up. Gray or white means that it is not been requested nor connected up. For the second air conditioning unit, let's do that using the CDU right here. Make sure you've selected this one, the flight one right here. Go to ground crew, air conditioning 2. Anything else? No. So you can use either the CDU, the EFB once you've established contact. It's up to you. If you press options on the EFB, it automatically makes the call and goes through the sequence on the CDU for you without you having to use it. But you know, it's nice to use the CDU and keep things a little bit more realistic if you want to go through that, or if you're in a rush, just use the EFB, sorry. While we wait for our air conditioning units there, which are about to be connected, we can go ahead and take a look at the FMC. We can also actually take a look at the boarding process too, because that's going to take a while as well. For the ground air conditioning units, do not turn on any of your packs. We do not need that. Okay, so there's no need to turn on any of the packs. This is something that will take care of itself. There you go. You've got the air conditioning connected up right. Let's go to menu. Let's go to external services. Go to Navigraph services. Let's get the data from SimBrief. We're flying from OMDB to Muscat. That is Dubai to Muscat, OMDB OOMS. Remember one thing. When you are setting up your flight plan in Sim, make sure that you put in the airline ICAO code and a flight number. Those two fields must be filled in if you want to use data link to automatically download your flight plan into the FMC. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So we're going to take a look at automatically downloading the flight plan using data link into your FMC and other information as well, performance information, wind data, etc. But unless you set your flight number and your airline ICAO in your SimBrief plan before generating the flight plan, it's not going to work. So we've done that, gotten our data from SimBrief. Let's go back to airplane, weight and balance. Let's fill this up. If you want to use a simplified zero fuel weight, which is what I like to use, you can go in and input all of this in your own accord. If that's what you want to use. You can just fill this data from SimBrief, which is what I like to use to get everything automatically filled in. Alternatively, you can use these options. We've got our data from SimBrief here for today. Now let's go to the loading page. When it comes to loading, again, a number of options. You can do your simultaneous full load, which will obviously load everything up the way you want it to be. You can individually load them by pressing load here. Obviously fuel, we unload it first and then we reload the quantity we want, if that's even necessary. Or alternatively, you can use the CDU for your loading. For example, let's say we want to load up the passenger and we want to use the CDU to do that. Before you can go to use the CDU, you want to check that you have the right ground services connected. Now we don't have transport for the passengers. We have stairs, but we don't have transport. Another thing to note, if you want to use the jetway that's available to you at the gate, if you want to use the jetway that's available to you at the gate, you can do that by using the default ground handling in X-Plane 12. It works perfectly fine with the rest of the ground service for the FlightFactor 777. However, today we're using the stairs. We need transport. Now, obviously, we can request it from here, or we can go ground crew, go down here. Oh, no, I requested transporter. We need to request the bus, the passenger bus in here, right? So our bus is now on the way, and we're going to wait for that to turn green. If you try to board your passengers before that, this is not going to work. In addition to that, you need to make sure that your doors are open. You can either do that right here. You can come down here, go to your purser, and check your doors from right here. See that? You've got your option, whichever you want to use. Today I'm just using a mix of both, so you understand that you have the option both available too. So we got our doors open. Do we have door 2 open? Let's just quickly check outside. There we go. That's okay. That's good enough for us. We can load our passengers. So to load passengers, you can either go to the loading service, load from here, or you can ask your purser to do that. So if I press this, there you go. The purser has begun boarding. Alternatively, you could have gone here and press loading and press load right here. We've done that as well. Okay. So passengers are now loading, or rather, we're waiting for the secondary passenger stairs before loading begins. So apparently it required us to connect this stairs as well. If you use the EFB to request loading like we just did, it will automatically do all the external services and place all the calls. If we didn't use the EFB right now to load the passengers, we would manually have to go and request these second stays and then connect up and then request loading from the person. That's something to remember. You have to go through all the sequences for this to particularly work. So I shall show you this when it comes to, let's say, what else do we have to load to the loading service? Let's say catering. So rather than pressing this button, let's see how we can do it through the CDU. To load catering, for instance, you first need to go to ground crew, get the catering service. We need to get the catering service here. We need to wait for the catering service to connect up. So we're waiting for that to connect up first. After that connects up, we go back to the purser and then ask the purser to load catering. So that's how it would go if you decide to use the CDU without pressing this, right? It's waiting for that. The catering thing connect up. There we go. We've got the catering service connected. Now we have to ask it to load. To do that, we can come here, go to purser, go to loading. If you try to load the catering service from the CDU using the purser without connecting the catering truck first, it's going to refuse, right? So that's something to remember. Great, we've got catering going on as well. We can check that in the loading service page. There you go. Passengers loading, catering going on. Cargo, let's just press loading from right here. If you want to manually do it, you got to go back, ask ground service to connect up the cargo loading and all of that stuff. Anyway, let's also unload our fuel. So the fuel is gonna drop. If we don't manage to catch it exactly where we want it to be, it's okay. We can just pause it and then ask it to reload back up to the level we want. Now, while all these services are going on, let's go ahead and set up our FMC, right? Position initialization, pick it up from here, or you can use the left GPS right here, whichever. Let's go and reference airport, OMDB, set that in here. We don't need anything else. Let's go to route. Before requesting the route, you go down here, external services, Navigraph, get data from SimBrief. Let's load that one more time. We need to go COM right here. Press that COM button right here, and that will bring up these options, central display right here. Go to manager, go to ACARS. You have to auto tune this frequency. Press that over there, the second page. Now we can see ACARS SATCOM mode, ACARS link established. We've got all of these enabled and we've got that link. Origin, OMDB, destination, OOMS, runway. So what is our takeoff runway for today? 30, right? And our flight number is UAE1. So let's put UAE1. Now let's try request. And there we go. We have our route uplink ready for us. What we are going to do here is press load, and then we're going to press activate. Then we're going to execute that. And there you go. You've got your route in here. You can do the same with the performance initialization thing. You can either accept this data or reject it. Today we're going to accept it. Oh, we need to worry about our fuel before we go on. Go back to our fueling page right here. Airplane, loading service, our fuel. We need to pause. Look at that. Now we need to, there we go. Now it's going to reload it till where we want it to be. So then let that happen. Expect to be interrupted by the interphone and the ground service and the purser once in a while as things get accomplished. So that's something that's perfectly normal. All right, so we're done with that. Let's go to our legs. Check that we've got all of that. Yes, we do. Today, I'm not going to be passing this MCT leg right here. So I'm just going to clear the MCT out of here. Just clear. Is it going to let me clear something? No. Okay. Let's go to route data. Wind data. We can load it. There we go. Wind data uplink is ready. We just load it and execute it. And there is your wind data. Go back to our legs here. Let's go to departure and arrival and set that up for today. Departure out of OMDB is 30R using ANV7F. Let's execute that. There we go. We're getting a call on the intercom from the ground service. Make sure your mic is in the right option here. Then you can answer that call perfectly fine. It's just a notification call. We have our SID and our runway selected. Go back to your index. If you are programming your arrival in advance, which we're doing for this flight, let's go to arrival. ILS 26 right today, and we're not using any stars today. We're just going in direct. Execute that. Go back to our legs here. It's continuity right there. We don't want to pass MCT. Just delete there, execute. There you go. We've got all our flight plan as we want it, right? There you go. Everything looking great. Let's go to our takeoff. Let's actually go to our thrust limit first. So either you can calculate this information from your performance right here, or you can use SimBrief Performance Calculator, whichever you fancy. You can input the relevant information right here and it will give you your V1 and etc, etc. Or you can use SimBrief. I like to use the SimBrief one, so that's what we're doing today. So calculating performance using the SimBrief to takeoff performance calculator. It recommends minus 20%, 6-3 selected temperature for takeoff, flaps 5, and wind at runway 310/11. That in, and 38 here. We've got another call. Let's go back down here on the ground again.
Loading the luggage.
That's no need to worry about it. There we go. So that is done. Let's go to the previous page. That is an automatic PA announcement being made by the purser. We don't need to worry about it. We need to put in our center of gravity. You can come down here, go to airplane, weight and balance, and you can go to CG summary. That'll give you your CG. You can obviously optimize the CG from here as you like. For today, we seem solid at 36.2. Just confirm the zero fuel weight is what you actually want, and the ramp weight is actually what you want for your flight plan. 36.2 CG for today. Do that here. Gonna put somewhere here. And we've got trim at position 3. Reference speed on 1, 2, 3. Progress if you like. It's like that. We've set up our FMC. Let's come down here to the EFB. Take a look at what's happening with the loading. Airplane loading service. Catering is still being loaded. Passengers still being loaded. Everything else is done. Perfect. Got notified of that. There is a simplified loading page again if you want to use that. I like to use this one right here to keep a track. So we're going to wait for that. Whilst we do, let's set up our MCP and Alti barometric pressures. So for today it's 29.73 out of Dubai. Reading it off of SimBrief. 7.3. You set that on either side. There you go. FD on. Auto throttle armed. LNAV VNAV working. Runway heading today is, what is runway heading? Set that in here. 299 are set. We'll climb out to 10,000 feet first, and then from there climb out to our cruising altitude of 25,000 feet. For our V2 speed here, let us go down to the FMC. V2 is 159, so plus 2. We're talking about 179 plus 20 knots, maybe 179, 180. You can put that into our auto throttle here. So we'll go with 180. There you go. That's set. And that sets up our MCP here just like that. Okay. So once passenger loading and catering has finished, again, you can always fast forward them. First, you pause these two and you can simultaneously full load the entire thing. Let me just show you that. You can also pause it from, you can do that from here as well. Okay, so let me try to pause this once again. Let me pause this. Okay, now I can use the simultaneous full load option. That'll get our aircraft loaded up. We've got our load sheet or whatever. You don't need to worry about that. But yes, we have everything loaded up as we want. Now we need to begin removing the external services one by one. Again, you can use this EFB or you can use the CDU and you call the ground crew. It's up to you. All right, obviously this is quicker, this is more realistic. Before we do disconnect some stuff, let's actually go ahead and get our APU started up because we're getting ready for pushback as it is, right? Today's pushback, I will not be using the inbuilt pushback that's available with FlightFactor 777. It does work well, it's fairly realistic, it's fairly good. However, I'm going to be using my favorite tool, which is Better Pushback, which is also free anyway, right? So we can use Better Pushback today to plan our pushback. Let's go ahead and do that. Do that right here. We can push back. Okay, that'll get our pushback plan ready for us to use when we need it. Let's go overhead to start our APU. It's being started up. You can check that on the stat page. You can see that the APU is coming to life. Now, if you want to, you can follow the checklist, pre-flight checklist. You can test the oxygen if you want. You can do that on all 3 sides if you like. I don't usually follow these pre-flight checklists, but you want to be realistic with it, that's how you do it. Flight instrument heading and altimeter and all of that done. Move on to the next checklist before start. We need to get the flight deck door closed. Put it on deny, and flight deck door is locked now. We need to get the seatbelt signs set, which they are. Doors and windows are not closed and armed. So that is what we need to do next. Now, to do that, you can come to airplane, ground services. Sorry, not ground services. Ground services. We can disconnect the ground service first, and then we can close up the doors and all of that good stuff. Let's see if our APU has come to life. We can disconnect the air conditioners first. So we'll disconnect air condition. air conditioning. For the second air conditioning, let's try use this one. And we've got both of that going on right here. We will say yes. All right, now we can do the same with all of this. Let's first make sure our parking brake is on. Yes, it is. Let's remove the chocks from here. We can turn on our APU generator, and as you can see, we've got power available. Secondary has already disconnected. Primary external power is still on. We can disconnect it too. Let's go ahead and disconnect both the GPUs. There we go. Let's do the same with GPU 1. Let's remove our stairs. Let's mix it up and go ahead and request the removal of the other stair from the CDU. There we go. Well, we can also remove the bus now. Done. Snow here and the call. And as you can tell, we've still got our catering service. We'll disconnect that too. There we go. That's also done. Brilliant. Now we are ready to close up the doors and arm them. So we can come to airplanes, have a look at our doors here. Now we can see all of these are closed. The cargo doors are all closed. It's all good. This door is still open from the catering, and these two doors are open from the stairs and boarding process. Now we can either just press these buttons right here to close the door and press this button to arm the door, or we can use the purser. Alternatively, you can press this button to close all the doors, or we can use the purser. So let's try with the purser first. Go to doors, go, we'll close that up. You can see that that door is now being closed right here, and it's closed. Use this option here to close this door. Okay, we'll do the same with this door. All these doors are closed. Once that's done, we can ask the purser to arm all of our doors. We can either press this or come here, go to purser, go to doors auto. Okay, now that will start your in-flight, your pre-flight announcement going on right there. Ideally, you would ask them to arm the doors when you're being pushed back, or when you are, on taxi or something like that. That's when you'll ideally hear this, I suppose. But this is just perfectly fine. We are now ready to tell you PA in use, because PA is being used, but that doesn't matter. We are now ready to go ahead. Right before you do though, go to menu, go to airplane, go to pushback, make sure you remove the ground crew. All the ground crew that are around this aircraft, you do have the option of removing them from the EFB, as in to make sure they never appear, but by default they do appear, and you want to remove them before your pushback. We say remove ground. Everyone will clear the aircraft, and as you can tell, you are ready. Those are the shadows from the bird flying over the aircraft. Flight factor does have, look at that. I don't know if that's a flight factor effect. It is, right? I'm not entirely sure. Might be an explain thing. Okay, anyway, let's jump back in here, and now we are ready to be pushed back and to get our aircraft started up. Doors and windows set, MCP set, takeoff speeds done, so that is fine. Trim is supposed to be at 3, right? It's supposed to be units. Put that away. Let's now go ahead and request our pushback. Go to better pushback, start. We're waiting for our tow to drive up, connect, and begin pushback. Once it has completed that pushback, or rather, once we have started pushing back, we can start our engines. Okay, our pushback has been connected and we are ready to go. We just need to release the parking brake. Let's go inside. Here we are. I like to keep this on this mode right here. Okay, release parking brake for pushback. Okay, pushback has begun. In case you are wondering which pushback I'm using, it's better pushback for Explain 12. You can pick it up for free. So yeah, it's all right. It is one of the most highly recommended add-on for Explain 12. It really does work wonderful. Let's go overhead, turn on our beacon lights, complete for before start right here. That's fine. Okay, so let's go overhead. We'll turn that on. Let's turn on our fuel pumps right there. APU bleed and all of this stuff should have been turned on after we disconnected the air conditioning. Forgot about that. You can turn on window heat as well. Once all of that is done, we can go to start, emitter that, N2 right here, N2 rising, go. You can flick our fuel control to open. Let's go up here, put all of these on automatic. Okay, engine coming to life. All right, once that's completed, we're getting another call here. All right, let's go ahead and start the second engine. Engine coming to life, N2 rising, somewhere between 10 and 15%. I like to wait for 15. Flick open the fuel control right there to open position. Engine number 2 is coming to life. Go ahead and set parking brake. We'll set our parking brake right there. Our TCAS, by the way, we forgot about our TCAS. TCAS needs to be, we need our altitude reporting on there. I mean, we're not really using ATC today, so disconnect and hand signal. Our engine's coming to life. All right, very good. You can go up here and turn these on, which you should have done. Turn these on, turn those two on. Okay, that's just our pushback. That's fine. Go up here, turn on the engine bleeds. Go. We no longer need the APU generator or the APU, right? We don't need them anymore. However, we can leave them in the on position. Simply turn off our APU. You can turn these off. They will give you a little warning right there that the generator for APU is off. We'll just leave these, this one right here on. You can leave this on automatic as well. Our overhead is pretty much set up. We can turn on our taxi light in preparation for taxi, and everything else here is looking good. TCAS is off. That's fine. APU cooldown, parking brake set, doors are armed automatic, passenger signs off, recirculation fans are off. Go ahead and turn these two. Go. That's done too. Perfect. Let's see what's in our checklist. Before taxi, anti-ice, we don't need to worry about it. We don't really need any anti-ice today, do we? I think we can put them on auto mode. I don't need to worry about that. Let's see if there's anything to recall here. Okay, recall has been checked. Recall is that little button right here just to make sure if there's anything that we need to worry about. Okay, auto brakes on RTO checked. We need to check our flight controls. To check the flight controls, we can check your flight controls, make sure they work. They seem to be working. There you go. We are checking it. All works perfectly fine. Back to the checklist. Checklist has been complete. Our before taxi checklist has been. There you go. And we are ready for taxi. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for taxi. So you can release your parking brake, a little bit of power, and we can begin our taxi today towards our takeoff runway. So what I'll do, I'll now continue this taxi until I reach right before the holding point for the runway. We'll hold short of the runway for takeoff, which is 30 right. Once that's done, we'll jump back in and see what we need to do to get ourselves ready for takeoff. Oh, hold on a second. Whilst taxiing, we can actually go ahead and drop our flaps too. Now, it is part of the before takeoff checklist, I suppose, but we can set that up right now too. We can set our flaps to position number 5. Go let that drop here as we taxi. There we go. Flaps are dropping nicely to position number 5. There you go, everybody. I'm going to continue my taxi and I'll jump back in once we're holding short of the runway. Okay, here we are. Okay, here we are holding short of runway 30 right. Let's go ahead. Flaps already set, and that's that. Okay, forget about the landing gear and after takeoff checklist, but we are holding short. All good for takeoff. Let's turn on our landing lights there. Please parking brake. Turn on our runway turn off lights if you want them. I'm not doing them today. Strobe lights on, and then we can go and set our TCAS here all the way. TA mode or TARA mode, and we are pretty much ready to get on. Okay, so let's go ahead and line up with our runway. Let's turn and line up with our runway here today. There we go. Okay, we are ready for takeoff. We can go ahead and hit that toga button right here. Rotate. There we go. Nice and easy. Fly our aircraft. Looking good. You can obviously give it off to the autopilot if you like. Okay. At this point we can give it off to the autopilot, so we press autopilot. Our throttle is working. There we go. As we leave, come back in here, everything is looking great. Auto brake is off. Taxi lights can go off. Runway turn off lights, if you turn them on, can go off. Landing lights can remain on till 10,000 feet. Our speed is still between still at 180 here, 190 here, so we don't need to retract the flaps just yet. Looking great. Okay, we can retract the flap to position just the slats if we like. We can try that. That will cut us really close to the stall speed there as we continue climbing. So that was a little early on the flap retraction, obviously. Ideally, you want to hold out a little bit more before you retract your flap. You have these markers here to help you with that. All right, now we're just going to continue our climb towards 10,000 feet, and once we reach 10,000 feet, we can turn off our landing lights and all that good stuff and set our cruising altitude. By the way, this is way too early on the flap retract, so just wait for your speed to increase areas before you actually retract your flap. Really, the flap should go back down, but anyway. Okay, our speed is now climbing to 220 slowly. That means we can now retract our flaps. Leave just the slats out. There you go. Looking good. I have no auto ortho running at the moment. That is why we look like that, but that's okay. And we can put our slats up as well now. Coming up on 9,000 feet. Just 1,000 feet to go towards 10,000. So let's go ahead and set up our cruising altitude, which is 25,000 feet, right? Let's go towards 25,000 feet. There you go. We've set up 25,000 feet, and we can press this to engage that. We can turn off our landing light. There we go. Landing lights are off. We can put our passenger signs to automatic, and there we go. We are looking good. ENAV, LNAV done. Everything is working as it should. Great. So we're gonna continue this climb out towards 25,000 feet. That is how you perform a startup and take off with 777-300ER from FlightFactor.